Phil Staveley, Managing Director of the Leigh Creek Urea Project. Great to have you with us here on Flow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we've been following this project with interest. It was described as an energy project before. Just first of all, why has the focus shifted to it being a urea project?
Simply, we didn't really see the call for the gas, which has proved a bit wrong, but we get a better return out of urea.
Yeah, and certainly that's what we've been tracking with the fertiliser prices are really high at the moment, and you've talked up the prospects of this being Australia's largest urea production facility in the nation?
Yes, it will be the largest. There's plans for others, but ours will be the only integrated urea project in the world.
And when are you thinking it'll come on stream on the current project timelines?
Well, we are progressing really rapidly. I was just sort of jotting down over the last year. We've got the production licence. We've completed the pre-feasibility. We've got the contract is signed for the EPC for building it. We've acquired the first long lead time items. They're generators that take a little bit over a year to come with COVID and stuff. We've appointed Dalim, one of the biggest EPC contractors in the world, to do it. We've appointed the BFS independent mob called Nexton. Yeah, so it's really happening. And crucially, we just announced this month the completion of the independent feasibility study for our carbon capture. So not only will we be cost effective, not only will we be the only integrated urea producer in the world, we will be doing it in a carbon neutral manner as well.
Yeah, which is important to the government and all other policymakers when you look at the net zero commitments being made at Glasgow very soon as well.
Yeah, well, we've actually been invited to Glasgow because of the work we've been doing. We started on this ESG path 4 years ago, so it's not an accident that we're ahead of it. We're ahead of the game then, and we're ahead of the game now. We continue to stay ahead. We have brought our carbon neutral commitment, which was carbon neutral for 2030, a couple of months ago. We brought it back to carbon neutral from next year.
Right. Yeah. No, I noticed that. We talked about that. I think with Tony Laurie, it might have been not long ago from your project.
Right.
When it comes to the investment in Leigh Creek itself, the opportunities for that to be reinvigorated, when are we likely to see maybe some employees potentially coming into the project for the construction phase?
The people in Leigh Creek, they're going to start next year, and they will gradually. Well, let's think that's in 2022. They will gradually build, and then there'll be a big rush in sort of the start of 2023 when there'll be a couple of thousand jobs for solely port people.
Yep, that's quite a lot, I guess, when you consider the state of Leigh Creek at the moment. That's a massive flush of people coming into the town.
I mean, I think the town at last count, I'm a bit out of date, but it had about 70 people. So it's really, it offers really good opportunities for the local community in terms of education, in terms of the hospital. You know, all these things have to be, well, like you said, reinvigorated.
And is there an extent to which the company takes some of that on board in terms of having to help finance that, or is that something where the state and federal government is coming to the party and putting them on as and when the employees and families move to the area?
Well, we're going to make sure that it's there. I expect that the government has some role. I don't care whether they do or not. We are going to make sure that those things are there. I think the state government has some responsibility, but for things like medical, we have the responsibility to be able to to operate safely. And that when you're operating, Leigh Creek includes appropriate medical facilities, so we've got to put them in place.
Yep, that's good. Now, we've tracked on the farming front, we keep track of a lot of commodity prices. All people are doing well on the land, but the input costs are going up. Fertiliser prices heading for record highs. You would have loved to be out there selling fertiliser right now, or urea right now.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, yes, in short. But I would think that if we were selling right now, we wouldn't be taking advantage of the exceptionally high prices. We are looking this is not set in stone. We have to have the appropriate marketing people decide. We have certain plans that will provide a cheaper alternative than is currently available. The urea price is based on the gas price. So as long as there's no gas exploration, there will be no increase in supply. So that it's not, the urea price will not be into the historical price. However, although the gas price is going up, we're fully integrated. That means we are producing our gas on site. We produce our gas for $1 a gigajoule, not 3 or not 10 that's recent, not whatever it's going to be in the future. It might be 5, it might be 20. We'll still be producing our gas for $1. Therefore, we can set prices based on that cheaper cost.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, was not necessarily that you might take up advantage of the high prices, but the project might be a way of containing prices on the domestic front, because you'll be able to supply Australian farmers closer to where you're producing the material.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's the answer to that. We will, and we can, because we've got stable prices, we're not open to global gas prices, global commodity prices, exchange rate risk, supply risk. We can, for example, we can contract with farmers for a certain price for, I don't know, next March or next May. They can look forward and they can fix the cost that they're going to have to pay, so that they can, their business is like everybody else, that they can plan in the full knowledge of what their major cost inputs are going to be.
Now, I notice you've got a Korean support base in terms of finance. Is there a prospect of fast tracking the project? Could it come on stream sooner with more help, or you really got some pretty locked in timelines now? It's not going to be able to come on stream any sooner than what you're currently planning.
Yeah, I think we have to be responsible. By that I mean we have to prove this project. It can be done as easy as it's done all over the world, but we have to prove that we can do it at Leigh Creek in an environmentally responsible way. That takes time. Things like fauna studies, you have to do them throughout the year, so that you have to do one in each season. So you can't shortcut that. I don't think we can shortcut it. We can't start construction earlier than 2023, because we have to do the environmental, do all the other approvals, and prove to the government that we're doing the right thing before we start. And that is just something that I'm quite happy to hear that's been in place in Australia to make sure that everybody does the right thing.
Well, I guess as farmers pay high prices for fertiliser, they need to think about Leigh Creek Urea Project one day in the near future and say it'll be cheaper in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, and it will. It will. It will be cheaper. It will be more stable cost, and it will be delivered when it's required, not the following month.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Phil Staveley, Managing Director of Leigh Creek Urea Project. Great to have you with us on Flow. We look forward to checking in on progress on the project.
Look forward to it.